There's a Judi Dench show on Britbox right now that's better than Downton Abbey, and somehow no one's talking about any of this. If you have Britbox and you haven't watched these, you're wasting your subscription. The Glass Virgin starts with a young woman named Annabelle LaGrange living completely sheltered, privileged life. She's got money, she's got status, everything looks perfect from the outside, and then she finds out her entire life is built on a lie. She's illegitimate. Her family history, all the respectability she thought she had, it's all fake. That discovery destroys her world. She leaves home and meets a mysterious stranger named Manuel Mendoza, and for the first time she's actually seeing the real world instead of the bubble she grew up in. It's adapted from a Catherine Cookson novel, and what makes it work is Emily Mortimer in the lead role. It's one of those period dramas that looks beautiful but has real weight to it. Here's something different, a comedy about William Shakespeare. But not Shakespeare, the legendary genius. Shakespeare, the struggling playwright trying to make it in London's cutthroat theater scene. Ben Elton wrote this whole series imagining what Shakespeare's early years were like when he was trying to write Romeo and Juliet. And in this version, Shakespeare's ambitious but also kind of insecure. He's dealing with rivalries, family drama, theatrical disasters, all while trying to actually finish his plays. David Mitchell plays Shakespeare, and the whole thing mixes historical stuff with modern humor in a way that actually works. It's not reverential at all. Shakespeare's just this guy trying to survive in the entertainment business, and half the time things are falling apart around him. Thomas Hardy wrote some bleak stuff, and Tess might be his bleakest. This 2008 BBC adaptation is 4 parts, and it's set in these massive pastoral landscapes in 19th century England that look incredible. Tess is a young woman who discovers her family's actually got noble lineage. She meets some wealthy relatives, and suddenly she's caught between 2 men, Alec and Angel, and things go badly. Really badly. Gemma Arterton plays Tess, and she brings this complexity to the role where you understand every choice she makes, even when those choices lead to tragedy. The production values are stunning, and the whole thing builds to this unforgettable ending that Hardy designed as a critique of Victorian society and morality. It's beautiful to look at, but it'll wreck you emotionally. That's kind of Hardy's specialty. Cranford is about life in a small village in Cheshire in the 1840s, and specifically it's about the single and widowed middle-class women who live there. The main focus is Miss Mattie Jenkins, played by Judi Dench, and her sister Deborah, played by Eileen Atkins. Then a young doctor named Dr. Harrison shows up and disrupts everything. It's adapted from Elizabeth Gaskell's novellas, and what makes it special is how much attention it pays to everyday life. The daily dramas, the friendships that define this small English town. Judi Dench and the ensemble cast make it feel real even when it's dealing with the tiniest social scandals. The writing's sharp, it's funny, there's genuine warmth to it. But it's also charming and heartbreaking at the same time, which is a hard balance to pull off. Sir Lenny Henry created this one, and it's based on real stories from the Windrush generation. 3 Jamaican women come to Britain in the 1950s looking for opportunity and a better life. What they find is post-war Britain, which is not exactly welcoming. The whole series is about them trying to maintain their identity and build lives in this foreign place that doesn't want them there. It's uplifting, but it doesn't sugarcoat what these women went through. The friendship between the 3 of them is the heart of it. The costumes and music add this authenticity that makes the 1950s setting feel lived in. Henry's storytelling is sensitive without being heavy-handed. Brideshead Revisited came out in 1981 as an 11-part series, and it follows Charles, whose life gets completely tangled up with the Flight family after he meets Sebastian Flight at Oxford. The whole thing is told through flashbacks. His relationship with Sebastian, then with Sebastian's sister Julia, their troubled mother, all of it spanning from the 1920s to the early 1940s. The series captures this specific atmosphere of upper-class English life right before everything changed. What makes this one special is how lavish the whole production was. They filmed it at Castle Howard, which is this massive estate in Yorkshire, and the cinematography makes it feel like you're watching a painting come to life. But the real draw is the cast. Jeremy Irons plays Charles, and this was before he became a huge star. Anthony Andrews plays Sebastian. And then you've got actual theater legends, Laurence Olivier and John Gielgud, showing up in supporting roles. Everyone's seen a version of Pride and Prejudice. Jane Austen's novel has been adapted a million times, but the 1995 BBC version, the one with 6 episodes, is the one that became definitive. Elizabeth Bennet is one of 5 sisters dealing with family pressure to get married and all the complications of courtship in Regency-era England. She ends up falling for Mr. Darcy despite thinking he's an arrogant jerk at first. You know the story. What made this adaptation stick was how faithful it was to Austen's novel. Director Simon Langton didn't try to modernize it or add unnecessary drama. He just let the story be what it was. Jennifer Ely played Elizabeth and Colin Firth played Darcy, and those performances became the versions of those characters. Little Dorrit is based on the Charles Dickens novel, and it's about Amy Dorrit, whose father is stuck in a debtor's prison. She works constantly to support her family while they're trapped in there with him. Then this guy Arthur Clennam shows up in London and sets off a chain of events that uncovers all the hidden connections and secrets nobody saw coming. Claire Foy plays Amy Dorrit. This was before The Crown turned her into a household name, so if you've only seen her as Queen Elizabeth, this is worth watching just to see her do something completely different. Fair warning though, the story gets dark. It's about poverty and debt and the way institutions crush people. But it's also got this underlying current of hope because Amy refuses to give up. It's one of those adaptations where you can feel how much Dickens cared about these characters. Anna of the Five Towns is only 2 parts, so it's a quick watch. It's set in an industrial region of England called the Potteries during the 1890s. The whole area is dominated by factories and class divisions and rigid social rules that nobody questions. Anna Tellwright is the daughter of a controlling father who's made money, and she's trying to figure out how to have any kind of independence or personal agency. Everything around her is designed to keep her locked in place. It's based on Arnold Bennett's novel, and what it does really well is show you what life was actually like in Victorian industrial towns. Not the fancy estates or the grand balls, the factories, the soot, the economic pressure crushing everyone below a certain class level. And then there's Downton Abbey, which you already know about. The Crawley family, their estate, the servants working below stairs, all the drama that comes from those 2 worlds colliding. It starts in 1912 and runs through the social changes of the early 20th century. 6 seasons, then it expanded into movies. Hugh Bonneville, Michelle Dockery, Maggie Smith. It's the show that made period dramas mainstream again. Everyone's seen it or at least heard about it. I wouldn't say it's the best period drama on Britbox, but it's the most accessible one, and it's the reason a lot of people signed up for Britbox in the first place.